the last class that we were discussing on functions. And in most cases, what we said, we have functions, inbuilt function. Then we said we have built-in inbuilt function or built-in function. And then we said we have what you call user-defined function. And what we said on user-defined function, we said we can have what you call the return type functions. And the next one is no return function. Those are two things that we discussed, and we said we can always use them to do a specific job in a user-defined function. And what we said about these user-defined functions, we still said we can use, we can introduce what you call passing parameters. Passing parameters. And in passing parameters, what we discussed, we said we have what you call passing by value and passing by reference. Passing by value and passing by reference. And if you can remember what we said about reference, we said we can pass through use of what you call pointers. So we said we can use pointers to pass them and to make sure that now the data can be passed and users can be able to understand the data that we have within the presentation. So in this case, I want us, maybe we try to interpret further and be able to understand about now what you call string functions. String function. And I remember few of you did that question on string function. And which are the things that we need to pass through the use of a string function. And then the next thing that we'll be looking at is what you call recursive functions. So we look at string function, then we look at recursive function, and that will be the end of what we refer to as functions. So I think we can start. And when you're looking at string functions, what we always have within the presentation, we always understand that string function is a way that we can pass a string to define maybe a respective function. Maybe the function that you want to define is maybe copying a file. So we can copy a file. Maybe we compare a file that you want to compare, and then you can combine. You can combine a file. Maybe if you want to combine a file, and then you can get the length of that file or the length of that that one. So if you use copy in C programming, we use Str Cpy as a function. But what are you copying? We are copying something. So this is a function that is copying string 1. It is copying string 2. It is copying string 2 to string 1. So it's like now we are swapping. And we'll be able to see that. The next one is Str Cpy compare, but we are comparing the two strings, that is comparison of string 1, comma, comparison of string 2, comparison of string 2. Then you can combine these strings, and we call it Str cat, concatenation. So we use the word concatenation. We use the word concatenation. So we use the Str cat. So we are combining string 1 with string 2. We are combining string 1 with string 2. Then the next one, this is when you want to get the length of a certain string, and this is when we use strlen, but this is the string. Maybe we can have a string within that. So which is that string that we are having? So I want us to start with the first one, which is strlen. And the moment we are using these functions that we are having here, what comes in your mind, we must use a library. And this library that we are supposed to use is a library that is referred to as, I'm sorry. I'm not sharing. I'm sorry. Let me repeat that. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry for that. So I think now you can see the screen now. Can you see the screen now? I think now you can see the screen. Are you able to see the screen? Are you able to see that screen now? Okay, so what we are saying is that when you are passing the strings, remember what we have said, we looked at what you call the built-in functions. And then after that, we talked about the user-defined function. And within the user-defined function, we said we have return type and no return. And that is when we say, when you're using the return type, we must use a certain return type name, maybe integer, we can use double, and many other data types that we always have. But this one, we use a keyword void. And that's why we say that when you are using this user-defined function, we can still pass the values or the parameter through values, or you pass through reference. And the moment you pass through the value, we said it's a normal way of executing values, the normal way. But when you are passing by reference, is now when we introduce pointer. That's why we have said when you're working with the reference, we have to work with pointers and try to understand on how we can be able to come up with different presentations when you're using pointer. And I remember we said this one you use an address. And the moment we are using an address, this is where we said we can use an asterisk to define a certain pointer. Then we must use an address that is ampersand to define that this is now the memory allocation that is being pointed to. But what we have said is that we are supposed now to look at these two things. One of them we have not looked at. We have not looked at these two things: string functions and recursive functions. These questions are examinable mostly when you're talking about the string functions and the user-defined functions. So mostly when you're revising your notes, make sure that you understand these topics that we have on user-defined functions and built-in functions. And the moment we talk about the string functions, that's why we are saying most of these string functions that we have to look at now the presentation of interpreting a certain string in a different way. And interpreting that string in a different way, we can only look at these four methods. These four methods that we have here. One of them is copying. I think you understand what is copying. It's not new to you. And when you understand about copying, we are copying a string to another string. So here we have said we use Str Cpy in programming. Str Cpy, meaning that we are copying a string from a given string. So we are copying string 2 to string 1, because this one is the one that is copying to. Suppose the string 2 was John, so we are copying John to that. The question that you are supposed to ask yourself is, why are we using string? And when you define it, we define it as a character. The moment we define it as a character, what we always understand is that we copy character one by one. Like if it is John, we copy J, we copy O, we copy H, we copy N. But when you use string, we are copying the whole of those strings that we have. So we copy them. The next one is comparison. We compare the two strings. So when you are comparing the two strings, there are two answers. One answer is 0, and the other one answer is 1. So if these two strings are the same, now automatically the answer should be 0. If these strings are not the same, like now, if I have introduced something like John, and maybe then I have Joseph. If you look at this, because now we are looking at the number of characters that are presented here, now automatically we have John, which is having 4 characters, and this one is having 6 characters, if I'm not wrong, 6 characters. So this is not alike. So when you compare this string and this string, so it means the answer should be 1. So meaning these are not alike. But if they are alike, that means you can look at that. So irrespective of the name that we have, we are still looking at the character, we are still looking at the similarities. Maybe representation of John, that. So if I try to do away with that and maybe I have Jose, automatically it gives you 1 because Jose has been counted as 1. So in this case, we have another one that is called combining. Combining or concatenation. You combine a string, or concatenation. That is joining 2 strings together. Like now, if the first one is John and the second one is Joseph, so they become John Joseph. And that is now the string that we have. So this is the syntax that you're supposed to use in each and every function that we have, so that we can be able to understand on how we can be able to create this presentation of programs that we have. Then the next one is the length, and I think this one is not new to you, because the moment we talk about the length, we are talking about how many characters do we have within a certain string. And if you can look at this, we have 4. So automatically, we must define this as an integer type. We must define it as an integer type. And when you define it as an integer type, it means that you need to get a value. So the value of this, if it's the first one string, if the first string is John, now the value that is supposed to give you is supposed to give you 4. So that is now the answer that is supposed to be presented when you're using that. Now, what we have said, these are libraries that has been embedded in a programming language, or these are libraries that has been embedded in a C programming language. And these libraries that has been embedded in a C programming language, we must call what you call a library. I'm sorry, it's hanging. Let's see why it's hanging. Okay, I don't know why that one is hanging. So we use a library, and the library that you use is hash include string .h. Hash include string.h. So if you fail to use this, automatically this program cannot be embedded, or this program cannot code within that. So it will always have an issue, because now we are trying to call a certain library, but the library that is called, it is not within the program. So I think we can write a very simple program that does what you call length, or that gives the length of a certain string that we have. So I would like to introduce maybe a PowerPoint, and this one is now a program, maybe for the length, displaying the number of characters. The number of characters. So in this case, we can start by saying hash include standard input.h. Then we have main. Remember that we have said we must use a library. That is string function, string library, sorry. That is string.h. String.h. Now, in this case, we introduce the main program, which is now the function that we are supposed to use. And then we can declare a certain character. Maybe we can call it name. And this name, we can say it is not, we are not supposed to exceed 10 characters. That is why it is presented as an array. And we are saying the name that we have here, or the name that we'll be able to display here, it is supposed to be within the confined. So I think we can introduce this name. Remember, we are using a character, we use a single quote. Maybe we can call it John. Let me call it John. So that is the name that I have already assigned. I have assigned a name called John. But this name, I want to know how many characters do we have? So in these characters we have, we can now display. So we can say, remember we said we need a value. And because we need a value, we need to get a result as a form of an integer. So in this case, the result will be an integer. So we can say the result is equals to strlen, and that string is called name. So that string is called name. So in this case, we can now display printf. Then we have the string, the length of percentage s. So we can now display the whole, because when you say percentage C, we only display the first character, which is John. So the length of John, so the one is John, the length of is equals to percentage B. So when you display here, you display the name that we have, then you display the result. So in this case, we can now return 0, then I explain that. So in this case, what we are saying is the length of John is equals to 4. The length of John is equals to 4. So I think for this point, maybe we can try to use an online. Allow me to download that application, maybe online C compiler. Online C compiler. Maybe we see whether it will work. I'm downloading a tutorial. I don't know whether it is tutorial or the editor. Okay, that is the editor. So in this case, I want to copy the whole program that we are having here. So I want to copy the whole of this program. And within this, maybe we copy the whole of that. Then we change. Remember, I've used some wording. So I need to change some things that need to be changed. So name that. Then we have int supposed to be in small letter. Result is supposed to be in small letter. Length that printf is supposed to be in small letter. Then that return is supposed to be in small letter. So if I try to run this program, just a minute, this is where we are supposed to have a semicolon. If I try to execute this program, maybe we can see the output. Return type default of integer, that. Oh, sorry. There is a quote there. Maybe we can use the defined quotes. Maybe that one can result to some issues there. We use a single quote that can be used in programming. And see whether it has an error. So one return type default on integer, function main. So we have this, we close that. Mat characters, constant, John. So the length of John, so maybe percentage D, percentage S. Just a minute, just a minute. So we execute that. strlen. I don't know why it's resulting to some issues. Hash include string.h. Hash include str.h. Which we can have int main or main. Main is characterized. Okay, maybe we can try to introduce something. Name is equals to name is equals to John. I don't know why. Let me maybe I see whether it is a compiler that has some issues. Let me try another compiler within that. C compiler. Run the program. So it's giving you the same output. So let me see whether if I change it to a string, whether it will still work. So the name is this, but now the output, it's now the problem. So I have changed this to be a string because I want to count all the numbers, 1 up to j up to n. And then the problem is on this output. The problem is on this output that we have. I don't know why. It has some issue. Printf, the length of that is equals to. I don't know. Let me try to work out with we see how it's working. It's failing to work. So name is string. Int results. That is okay. Result is equals to strlen. That is the name that you want to return. Printf percentage this. So warning, return type defaults to integer in function main. Assignment to expression with array type name John. This program is okay, my friends. I don't know why it is failing to execute. This program is okay. Don't know why it's failing to execute. Maybe we can have S. We see whether the issue is on this name. So even if it is not even displaying the word name, so the issue is on this. Remember here we cannot declare it as a string. That is very wrong. So we need to declare it as a character. And when you declare it as a character, I don't know why it is failing, because it's supposed even to display the name John. It's supposed to display the name John. And maybe we say the name is equals to okay, I will check whether maybe Saudi mepotea. So the issue was on this program, I don't know why it's failing to execute. It's supposed to execute because now what we have here is already given. So let me first of all int I is equals to 9. Percentage D, percentage I. So can we brainstorm? We see where is the issue, because the program is okay. Can you see even this one is not displaying? Oh, ama hebu kidogo print F. So can you look at the issue where it's coming from? Because now, even if we declare this as I, it's not even displaying. Let me see whether it will display now. So the name is 9. So the value is 9. So that one is okay. Then we have that name is that. So display that name. So percentage S, that is name. Error. Assignment to expression with array type name is equals to John. Then what about display? Let me see the one that I had already coded. I see where there is the issue. Code. Oh, these are for functions. These are for arrays. So let's try to change this program, maybe with other aspect. I don't know why it is failing to execute. Let me start from scratch. So we have hash include string dot h main. So we have char name. Char name. Let me first of all use that. Name is equals to John. So I use that as a character. Then printf %d %s, that is name. Then return 0. Return 0. Monitor command amped core. So this one we can give maybe 10. Can give it as 10. Assignment of expression. Mount character constants. So we use that. Expected declaration or statement at the end of input. Expected declaration. So that one is displaying now. It is displaying the word John. So I think now we can maybe define int r or result is equals to strlen in bracket name. Then printf %d, then that we display result. Where was the issue? Maybe we need to write from scratch, not copy pasting. So that is now the answer that is supposed to give you. So you can see this is the answer that is supposed to give you, and I'm sorry for that mixing up. So it's good we write it from the scratch because we had written it the way we have written it now. There is no issue. So within this, we have already said that now, can we give, suppose now we try to create a space, maybe that is a space of 1, we see whether it will give us the same answer. So can you see? Can you see it's now expanding to 10? Why is it expanding to 10? Now we need to ask ourselves, why is it expanding to 10? So if you're using John, and now we have spaces. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So remember that our character is not supposed to exceed 10. So let's see. So it's dragging itself. So that's why we have some issues. And then if you try to increase this to 13, let's try to see whether it will give us 11. So that is the answer that is supposed to give you. So the answer that is supposed to be given is 11. Remember, we have counted. So spaces is still counted as a character. That's why when you are defining a string in programming, we always define a string as a null that. We use that. So when you're defining a string, we use a null that. That is / and an O and an O. So in this case, if I want still to expound on that, I can use that. Maybe I use 0. So within this, it's still encountering as a character within the presentation. So that is why it is giving 6. So that's why the /O is always given as a character. So that space is already given within the presentation. So are we understanding now? I know I have mixed up some presentation because of the issues of compiler. That is not our issue. It was the compiler issue. Have you understood the concept? Have you understood the concept? Felix, Cole, Onyango, Peter, Rachel, are we understanding what we are talking about? Are we understanding? Are we understanding, my friends? Are we understanding? Okay, Felix, the response is no. What about Cole, Onyango, Peter, and Rachel? So what is the answer? So you are understanding, Onyango is understanding, so the response is yes. So yes, Mina Grace, you have joined the class. I know that's why you have an issue. I will still repeat that. Anybody else who is not understanding? Anybody who is not understanding? Anybody else who is not understanding, so that we can maybe customize on that? Okay, so let me repeat for the sake of those 2 students who have said, or 3 who have said they are not understanding. Maybe I get the public communication because I was using. Okay. So I repeat for the sake of those 2 students or 3 students who have said they are not understanding. And we came from somewhere here. We were saying we want to copy some data. And maybe I can use the program that we had already written here. We are saying, let's try to look at how many characters are presented. How many characters are presented on a given name that we have. So when you define this character, we are defining a character because we count J as a character, O as a character, H as a character, N as a character. But we have said, let these characters not to exceed 13. Suppose I try to change this and I say maybe 3. This character is not supposed to exceed 3. And if this is supposed to give you an output for that, before I explain, maybe we can give an answer so that I can be explaining from that. The answer is supposed to be Joe, J-O-H. Can you see that? It is because whatever we have or whatever we had within the presentation. So whatever we had within the presentation, whatever we had within the presentation is that we have said, let's have a character or characters that are not exceeding 3 characters. And that's why we have defined an array that the name should not exceed 3 characters. And then we have said, let's now have the name John. So this is initialization. Then because we want to create what you call the presentation of how many characters are there within the name called John. That's why we are using the strlen. We are using the strlen. The strlen, it calculates the length in a string. That's why we are starting with the one str. And within this case, that's why we have said, Let's now get the length of the character that we have already initialized. So we are using name as a data type, as a variable that can be used to assign the word John. And this is now, the next one is now the output. Remember, this output is not there. We were trying something because the program was not executing, but we can still get other output. We say the number, the name, maybe you have space, percentage S is equals, has a length of, maybe space, has a length of. Then here we are supposed to get now the name. So we are saying the name, I want to remove this, maybe we have 10, so that we can have this. And then we try to execute again. The name John has a length of 4. Has a length of 4. Space has a length of 4 characters. So that is now definition of program, making the program, making sure that the program is clear when we interpret that. So the name John has a length of 4 characters. That is now the presentation that we have, because we need to count how many characters are here. Suppose I want to say John Joseph. Suppose I add the word to John Joseph. How many characters are there? Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are 10. It's okay. So how many characters are there? The name John Joseph has a length of 10 characters. 10 characters. So that is now the way that we can be able to say that we are interpreting some cons in a manner that the user will be able to understand this is the number of characters. It's like now when you're working with a database, I want to know how many characters are there so that I can be able to switch on to another representation. Maybe it's a raffle ticket that I'm creating. Maybe for all those people who have the name that is exceeding 4 characters or that are having 4 characters, let's have this and this and this. So that is now mostly used to create a raffle tickets if you want to create a program in that. Is that clear now? Are we understanding now? Yes, Peter, yes. Are we understanding? And I don't know why. Sometimes we have people who are moving in, moving out. What is the issue? Like here I had Rachel, but Rachel is not here. I think Rachel connected the system, and then after connecting the system, that was the end. Yeah, akapotea too. Connection, okay. We understand that, please. We understand that. We understand that. So is there an issue? Grace, do you have any issue? I think you are among those people who say they are not understanding. Do you have an issue on that? Okay, Joseph, I think we will understand that. We will understand that. This is a tough time. A tough time. And there are those friends that are not coming in class. Please, if they can make to come to class, it's good. Because even if we go back on July, or the time that we'll go back, we have to start from where we left. That is now from where I will stop when I'm teaching with this online platform. So I will not start from the introduction where we left. I will start from where we have stopped at this time. So if I was to start, I will start from recursive, if that is now the next topic. Or I will start from maybe data structures, maybe on lists. Okay, is there any issue? Can I continue with the next string function? Yes, can I continue with the next string function? Okay. So the next string function that we have, this is the string length. The next one that we have is called the Str Cpy. And we have said we are copying two strings, string 1, and then we have another string that we are calling string 2. Those are two strings that we are supposed to copy. Maybe we copy one string to another, or maybe we copy one string to the other. And if we know that we are copying string 2 to string 1, so you must make sure that now, when you're writing a program here, we must make sure that the string that we have, maybe I want to copy this John, the word John. Let me remove that. Then I introduce another one. Maybe I call it car, maybe name 2, sorry. Name 2, which is supposed to have 10 characters. But I want to copy something to name 2. So it means when I'm using this, maybe I can comment this. When I'm using this, I'll say the str, maybe I can introduce a character, another character result. Character result, maybe I give it 20. And then maybe we can have this. We say result is equals to str. It's not a must I introduce another variable. I can use it in printf, and I'll show you on how we can use that in printf. Str Cpy, we copy what? We copy John to name 2. So we are copying name 2, and we copy what you call name. We copy name. So in this case, we can now get the printf, and that is the percentage s, sorry, the percentage s, and whatever you want to get is now the result. Whatever we want to get is now the result. I think you can allow me to comment these, to comment that. So if I try to execute, we see whether it will give you the correct answer. Is their assignment to expression with array type result str copy name. So name 2, let's see, name 2. So we are copying that. So str name 2. So it's not giving you the answer. Str result. So printf, sorry, this one is supposed to be 2. So we are copying John to string 2. So printf, I don't know why it's failing to execute sometimes. Character name John. So we can get that. I don't know why it's an issue. Just a minute. In function main, error expected before that. Yes, anybody can maybe can come up with an answer for that, why we are having some issues. I don't know why we are having some issues. The program is okay. So
yes, Mwalimu.
Justify
yes?
why or probably so that within
yes?
the relevant
Sir,
the document
Yes?
hiyo nini inaitwaje results nini
Yes?
saiko initialized, so mimi naona hiyo inaweza kwa the main course.
Now,
Result haiko initialized kama ni integer ama ni void. Sasa nini mimi naona hiyo inaweza kwa the main reason the program is not
okay.
run.
If you look at the program itself, it's supposed to copy a certain string to another string. And because it is supposed to copy a string to another string, we cannot use an integer. And that's why I'm trying to remove this completely, so that we can now call it in the main program, in the output function. We see whether it has an issue. So this one is not an issue because we are not even using it currently. That one is not an issue because you are not using it currently. The one that we are using is name, that is name and name2. Unless maybe we try to initialize this value and we call it Joseph, maybe we see whether it is an issue on that. Maybe we have a representation of a value, and instead it's not working. So in our case, we are not supposed to have another variable. We can have it, but it should be a character. We can have it as a character. That's why I don't know why it is failing to execute, because the program is okay. Let's see first whether we can get the output. Let's use what we call the try and error method. We see whether we can get the output for name2. Let's see whether we can get the output for name2. And if we can get the output for name2, maybe we'll see that we have some issues with the code.
Errors with regards to developing and the issue. And
the name is string. The only problem that we have is now copying this name to a respective area. Okay, I have seen an issue where it is. So we are copying two strings. So let me see those strings that we are copying. Okay, I don't know the issue. I don't know the issue. Percentage S. So we can have character result is equal to, maybe give it 10. So this one we are not initializing it. And we say result is equal to Str Cpy. So can you switch your mic if you're not using it, please?
National government had an intention of implementing
Then we can get those results.
hospital management system, which is supposed to be deployed to the.
What's the
When
issue?
I went to
So in function main, error assignment to expression in array type.
with regards to
Before that, before
another particular
comma,
information
semicolon.
got
For semicolon token, printf send that result.
that
So we can close this. So it's not giving it the output.
and we had a need. So we just agreed in case the national comes, we that it should be able to relate so that's
I don't know why it's failing to execute.
on number two.
The program is okay. And if I try to change this,
Honorable Committee, I wish to regret the fact that
so can somebody try to carry the question? Can somebody try to carry the question? Why is it failing to execute that?
become an issue.
I don't know why.
And
Somebody can challenge that.
I
So we are copying a value.
let me make the
So
record
we are copying this to that.
the company is velocity with and I think the of material was whether that issue when I realized
So can you somebody challenge that? Let me give you 5 minutes. I try with
so
another program somewhere. Maybe I see whether it is working.
through the chair
Onyango, can you switch off your mic, please? Yes.
I apologize for the project.
Line 10.
Thank you.
So, can you challenge the question? Joseph, I don't know what is the issue for this program. It's not executing.
Function printf has not been completed.
Which one? Yes, can't hear.
Printf function has not.
Which one?
Printf function.
And you're counting the time for the
Why is
government
the
defense.
issue? I don't see
You find
any
a way of making the long
I don't see any issue because what we are getting, we want to get the string that has been
disadvantage.
copied. We want to get the string that has been copied. Yes. What is the issue?
That we try and find out well.
We can't move if there is an issue on this, because now I don't know why it's failing. I don't know.
Just clarification on an issue that has come up.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
For you to be awarded attender, a certain person must be a chairman of the evaluation committee. I would like to.
So that is John.
Why? The second one is you being. Do you agree that there are proposals?
So can I give you 5 minutes? Maybe look at the
My friend. We noticed that a brother chief officer finance was what the assembly was saying, like yes, what action has the governor taken on the issue to ensure that the officers in her are not doing the law? I was Okay, thank you so much, Chair. Also, thank you.
Yes, so any issue?
You know, the director of supply and chain management. I'm briefly speaking about your responsibility as the head of supply and chain management who oversees the entire disposal. And definitely in your profession, you know the and also act, right? So if I read it section 66 is on public procurement and active disposal act. It says products are positive, obstructive, collusive, or fraudulent practice.
I don't know. Maybe we can look at that issue again. I don't know why there is an issue on this. The expression with an array type without the equal str copy. I don't know why.
Subsection for the purposes of this section, a person has
So printf
to implement if the person already or the person. Persons who seek or contrary
improve name
the right in property or has a direct or indirect results in the private with his duties with respect to the procurement. My question is, are you aware of
so I think it is now working. It is now working. I don't know where we had an issue. The issue is the compiler. The issue is the compiler because you are writing the same way. We are supposed to write. Remember, we have already copied this. If I want to change this name to John Mark,
is Pauline Kamau,
we're supposed to copy the string to John Mark. So where are we copying? So we are copying. I think you can see that because the issue is the compiler. Sometimes it has an issue. You can see that. Joseph, I think you need to switch off your mic, please. Joseph Onyango. Okay, thank you for that. So if you look at the program, I don't see any issue, because now the issue was the compiler. Because we are trying to write the same program the way we had already written, and it is now copying the name. So it is copying the name to string 2. Remember that we need to have a Str Cpy name, but we copy it now to the name. This name is copied to this. Suppose now, maybe with this one, we call it name 3. And here we want to have name 2, then name 3. So in this case, let's see what will be the output. Can you see the output is 0? We don't have any output, because the output that we are supposed to have here, we are not copying an empty character to a character where we have something. So that's why we need now to copy our name 2. We copy name 3 to name 2. That is what you call copying a string. So you are copying a string to another string. We are copying a string to another string. Can you see it has an issue again? The issue is the compiler. So we might be writing program here, but the compiler is the one that has an issue. Because the only thing that I have changed is now the interchange of these values. So for us, we don't have issues with the program. So the program is okay, but where we have an issue is the compiler. Because now our compiler is now giving us long statements. So if you still move back to that, it will still have an issue where the compiler is the one that has an issue on this. So for this case, I'll be able to maybe refresh so that we can go back. We write again. And then maybe we try to see whether it will be able to execute. And so for this case, we have main. Then we have declared a character called name. We can call it name 1, which we are telling that character should not exit to that. And this one we have called baby Joseph. Then we have another character. Maybe we call it name 2. And this name 2, we give still the characters of 10.
Finally.
And they should not exceed. Maybe we call it Mark. Let me call him Mark. Then here we can say printf percentage %s. Then we have Str Cpy. We see which one will copy the other. Then we have M1, comma, name 2, comma, name 2. And then we can see what will be a resultant of that.
That is the position of the Honorable Senator.
So in this case, let's see what will copy the other. Comparison has terminated. So for this case, I can say the issue is, okay, you have .h,
for you to acquire practicing
that
certificate.
is an error in that execution. So we have map. So it is map. So it means
Is it
we
possible
have
for you to
name
ask the society
2
to stop
to name 1.
screen?
So what we can
Wait
conclude
until I
and
finish
say,
up
my friend, who is
subject,
that?
so that once I'm through, I get those papers, they come back to you. Would I do the same when I go back?
Onyango, are you in class or are you in Senate?
To stop the site from issuing after you have
Onyango, are you in class or in Senate?
been demand that I get that. Why are you delaying?
So what we are saying is that, just a minute. So what we are saying is that we need to look at how we can be able to look at this program. We have already copied Mark, where Mark is in name 2, we have copied to name 1. So it has replaced name 1 with Mark instead of Joseph. So is that clear? Is that clear? Can you see that aspect of how we are supposed to copy? So I have said the compiler is the one that has issues. So in some cases, that's why I need to refresh so that I can be able to hear the presentation. So or maybe I can be able to see how the program is supposed to execute. So within that case, we have said when you are copying a certain value, maybe we copy the string 2. The string 2, if you are replacing or you are copying something that is in string 2 and you want it to be in string 1, so the string 2 should be the second declaration. So that's why we have that. The next one was str compare, and I want just to use CMP here. Instead of now writing another code, I want to compare this, and we see whether this program will be able to execute that. So we need still to refresh it again. We need to refresh this program again because now we have seen it is very weak to code. And then we try to execute this program. We see what will be an output for that. So the monitor command dumped to that segmentation faults. So we want to compare the string 1 with string 2. Or first of all, let me work with concatenation. So I combine that. Let me see whether it will give you the answer. So when you concatenate, we are concatenating string, that is combining string 1 with string 2. Meaning, if I want to change this and I call it string 2, and here we have string 1. So automatically, if I execute this, it's supposed to be Mark Joseph. Because now we are combining string 2 with string 1. That is when we are presenting the concatenation method. Are we getting that? Are we getting that? Are we getting? So are we getting? Are we getting? So Peter, are you okay? Okay, so if you look at what you always understand by the program execution. So our main aim with this execution is to always understand that the program is supposed to change some presentation within the use of a program in C programming. And that's why we have said when we are using these libraries that we have here, we must make sure that the library that we are using, we must use it in a manner that that this library is defined in a way that it's supposed to execute a certain presentation. And if it is supposed to execute a certain presentation, you need to look at now which is that library that you are supposed to use. That's why we have said the library that I'm supposed to use in this case is the library called string function. And that's why if you look at the presentation that we have here for our program, if you look at the presentation that we have here for our program, we can look at now the presentation has used or has embraced the use of a string function or a string library, because now we want to carry those values together. The next one that we are supposed to look at is the Str Cpy compare. So we want to compare these two strings, and the string that we want to compare is string A and string B. So in this case, when we are comparing, we must declare it as an integer. So maybe we can have integer result, because we want to get either 0 or we want to get it as a 1. So in this case, I want to change this, and I call it a D. Then the whole of this, I cut, then is equals to, I paste there, but here I'll use CMP. So I'll use CMP. So I want to compare these two strings, and these two strings, they are supposed to give me the result. Let's see whether we will get the comparison of those values. So the comparison of those values is 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this case, we are comparing this with this, and the answer is giving it to 3. Suppose we have 4 characters. Let's see, we have 4 characters. And we see now which answer is supposed to give me 3. Suppose here now, I add a character. Instead of having Joseph, I have it as Mark. So the answer should be 0. So what we can say is that it's according to the compiler. So if the characters are alike, they are supposed to give you a 0. If you add those characters, they are supposed to give you another presentation of a number. So it is giving you -49, meaning that is now another presentation of the memory that it says these values are not alike. If I try to change this, maybe I call it Joseph. Let's see what will be given. Joseph. And we try to execute this program. So it is giving you 3, because this name 1 is greater than name 2. And because it is greater than name 2, it is supposed to give you that. But remember, here we are trying to look at now whether this number is equal to this, or the string 1 is equal to this, or string 1 is equal to that. So if those two strings are not alike, that is the point where now we have to look at another aspect, and we say these strings are not alike. So if they are alike, or if string 2 is equal to string 1, if name 1 is equal to name 1, name 2 is supposed to give you 0. But if name 1 is not equal to name 2, it's supposed to give you another value in that. If we are having the same name, but we have added some character, it's supposed to give you a negative value, meaning that we have already violated the use of those two numbers that we are having. So are we together? I want you to go and try other functions that we have. And I know there are other functions that you can have, but I would like maybe you try those functions, you try other functions, and then you try to see what will happen after you execute those programs that we have. So I would like to end at that point there for now. And maybe we can go back to our programs that we were supposed to write last time. There are some programs that we were writing, and only a few. I think it is only Joseph who did that, but others, they did not do it. So if you did not do that, please, can you go and do that assignment? Because it is still examinable on that. And then after you do that, we will be able now to move with the chat room. So the next time I will start with recursive functions. We'll still revisit back the string functions. Maybe we need to look at other compilers. So try to use other compilers that are not online. Remember, we are using servers. Sometimes the server can be down, sometimes it fails. So that's why we had some issues. The moment you are trying to roll that program, it's not even executing. Is there any question? I can see Peter is typing. Yes? Yes, Peter, you have a question? You can use your mic. Yes, Peter, I'm waiting for your question. What size should be the designation when using? So it is supposed to be 8 bytes, 4 bytes, sorry, 4 bytes. Because now we are using a string function. We are using a string as a data type. So it should use 4 bytes. So call by reference. Call by reference, I thought last time when you are using asterisk. Can you remember that, Tonyango? Can you remember that there were some programs, I even displayed them here. There were some programs that I displayed on coded. This is a program. I think we wrote a program on they are not there, but there were some programs that we were saying if you are declaring a variable, if I can remember, maybe you have a function like int, maybe sum. We were saying, can you declare int asterisk? Asterisk, maybe we have a, then we have int asterisk b. And that was the one that we were calling function prototype. The moment we now include this, we were supposed to look at now, when you are passing, maybe we have a result, and we are passing those values, we say result is equals to the function name, which is sum. Then we open that, we were passing that by ampersand, we are calling a, comma, ampersand b. And that's why in this case, maybe we have already declared int a, comma, b. And I suppose now we have already initialized these values. And a is equals to 10, and b is equals to 23. What is the value? So when you are now executing this, we were supposed to have printf, and now we execute percentage d. Maybe we call it result. Then we said, if you are now using the function, so when you're using the function, okay, so I was supposed to teach on Friday, and the system was having an issue. Unless it's maybe I wanted to, but I introduced that concept. So I can we can still do it today. If you declare this as a prototype, now when you're using it as a function, now we can maybe have return 0, and then we close that. Then we can open this, and then we open that as a function. So this is where we were saying, suppose we declare int a is equals to 5, comma b is equals to 3. And then we try to say return a plus b. Return a plus b. So in this case, we are saying it has powers to overwrite the original values. If the original value was 10 and b was 23, so automatically the answer will be 8, because this one has already overwritten the value that is here. So I think maybe we can try to write this program. We see whether it will work. I want to copy it, and that is the one thing that I want to avoid so much in that. Where we have this one, we call it int This one we call it int. Then we open this. We have int a r. Then we close this. Then we close that. They're supposed to be int then r. We can go through the code. So this is the function prototype. This is the function prototype. Int main, it's okay. This is okay. Int a is this. We have already initialized this value. So this is okay. Maybe let's see these quotes. They are different with others. That is okay. Maybe we see this ampersand, whether it is the same. Yes, it is the same. In some asterisk that. Let's see. B was here, int AB. So here there is no need of declaring that. So within here, we can have, remember this is a pointer. So we use asterisk. So invalid operands to binary. Let's see whether it is the same. So we are looking at asterisk A plus asterisk B. Asterisk A plus asterisk B before numeric. So do we have somewhere we have an error? So return undeclared. This one is small r. Maybe we see this is P. That one is okay now. Each element is reported only once for the function. First using this function. So we have int a b. A is equals 10, B is equals 23. Result is equals to A, B, ampersand A, comma, ampersand B. Line 8, results. Let me try to copy this, then I refresh. So int function main. Int that percentage D. Oh, we don't have result. We have not declared a result. So that is 8. So can you see now, you must be keen when you're writing this program, when you're copy pasting because of an issue. So what we are saying is that if you're using a pointer, it has powers to overwrite the original values. It has powers to overwrite the original value. And this is why we say we are passing by reference. We are passing by reference. But the moment we are passing by value, we don't use this asterisk. We don't use them. So for this case, maybe we can try to write this program in another, maybe in another area. We see whether it will still work. Maybe C compiler. Let's see whether it will work. Maybe I use that. I try to run this program. We see whether it will work here. So it is 8. It is working. Let me remove these asterisks. And when you are using passing by value, we don't use ampersand. We don't use ampersand. So for this one, we are using initialization. But remember, we can still use, we enter data. We don't enter data in a function. We enter in the main program. Let's see whether it will give you the answer. So the sum AB. So we have some, okay, so this is asterisk. We are not using asterisk here. So we remove this asterisk. We try to run this program. And the answer should be 10 plus 23. So it is still giving you 8. So whatever is supposed to return the value that is here. So the value that is here. So in this case, AB 1023, then we are passing this. Suppose we try to comment this, maybe we see what will be the answer. That is 33, so it's adding that. So for this case, even if you are using passing by value or passing by reference, it's supposed to give you 8. So suppose now I try to go back to this program again, and what I want us to do is to say this multiply by 5. This multiply by 5. What will be the answer? Or this A, maybe plus 5. Plus 5. So it's supposed to give you 8. So it means, so we need to look at the other compiler. That's why I'm saying the online compiler maybe might have some issues, because when you look at now, when you remove this, it's not supposed to give you this. It's supposed to give you 33, because that is the original value. But for this case, it's not giving me the actual value that it's supposed to give. So can you go and look at why we have some issue? Maybe use another code that we can see on that. So I think we can maybe start from there next time. Then when you start from there next time, maybe we can go to recursive function. Then we try to polish up the function, because I have seen there are some challenges that we have on function because of some compilers. So are we okay up to that point? Maybe I review with some homework that we are supposed to do on that. Maybe you try to code those programs in another platform. You see what is the issue, because we need to look at why are we having some issues on that program. So are we together? Are we together? So let me end my lesson at that point. Then maybe next time we will be able to polish up what we have done so that we can try to understand on that. So if there is no question, maybe we can end our session at that point.